And it's a little bit of chicken and the egg. Like you need people in the office to stimulate others to come in because that makes it interesting to take the effort to go to the office. People respond different to mandates in different countries and different regions. And we see that country culture plays an important role there. So we did a study for a client looking at the impact of culture on the return to the office, looking at, for example, level of power distance, individualism versus collectivism, uncertainty avoidance, and a couple of other metrics. In countries with a high level of power distance, people are less likely to follow what their managers tell them or mandates in this specific example. So you see that the approach that companies take in sort of getting people back differs quite a lot per region, and some things are more effective in one region compared to other regions. And we saw, for example, APAC shows higher attendance rates. It's a more collectivistic country, so people also tend to follow the group more and follow their colleagues more. So once certain people and role models start doing it in the organization, you see that others follow. Whether in more individualistic countries, that's a bit more of a challenge. So that's a really interesting dynamic, I think, like how can you implement these mandates, but also how do you make them effective in your specific country? An overall strategy can be quite consistent across the globe on the return to the office, but how you implement it and what things you do to get people back could differ quite a lot per country and per region.
What I see here is also rhyming with your research, Jaap. Yes, there is a push for RTO, stricter and stricter mandates, but then is it translating to a well-occupied, productive, buzzing environment? Not all over the portfolio, right?
And it's a little bit of chicken and the egg. Like you need people in the office to stimulate others to come in because that makes it interesting to take the effort to go to the office. So that's why it's important to sort of have that minimum presence. So it's interesting for people to go to the.
We see the RTO mandates, obviously, just like the rest of the industry, right?
I think it's a little bit more like or not a little bit more, much more purpose driven than it was in the past. Like return to office just for the sake of returning to the office, happening to a certain extent. But I think when you dive deeper, there's always like strategic reason behind it, and there should always be like a strategic reason behind why you want people back. And so it's more about workflows driven, distributed teams, and asynchronized work. We see a lot of organizations also recruiting from a wider pool of talent, not necessarily just around where they're based, but much more global. But then still wanting to create those touch points of in-person presence to facilitate collaboration. So I think it's not so much purely about return to the office. It's more around like why do you do it? What do you want to achieve with it? And then building the office around that.